Hello everyone, welcome to day 5 of my keto countdown as I wind out my first year to hit my 1-year keto anniversary on Thursday the 12th of January. 1 year ago on January 12th, which was actually a Tuesday, I decided, what the heck, let's try this way of eating and see what happens. So, hi, my name is Gail, and welcome to my channel, Real Life and Keto. I am really tired, and I almost decided not to do this vlog because I'm really tired. Because if you've been following me, it's that time of the month, and Aunt Flo has shown up full force. I swear she comes. She's like a visitor who comes, drops up all of her luggage, lets you know she's there, and then she leaves and spends the next day shopping, so she's not around. And then when she comes back, she like tears up the place and makes a mess and disaster in her path. And anyway, that's how I liken her in my head. So today she is pretty much just being horrible. And today was supposed to be my appointment with my OBGYN to see if all the fun stuff that I'm going through now hormonally at the grand age of 50 is normal, or if I have anything I should be concerned about. But because of the weather, the doctor I was supposed to see decided she didn't want to drive today, and I found out after the fact that my appointment was canceled. So I ended up still driving to town and finding out where she was, because I'd never been to the office, and went in and rescheduled my appointment, but it's not until February 21st. So I got a month and a half, roughly, till I go. So I'll be through another visit with the aunt before I get to see the... So we'll get to see, I guess, if the maca root and the soy isoflavones help at all and calm things down. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know what's normal. I've never been through this before. But anyway, I didn't really do a full day of eating. My day was pretty, because I was done with work at noon, I didn't have an official lunch. I had my keto coffee this morning, just plain old keto coffee with heavy whipping cream and butter. And at work I had, I don't know if you've noticed, if you follow me on my Fitness Pal, I always forget to mention it, but I eat like a quarter cup of dried edamame, dried soybeans. Again, as a snack, it's high in fiber. It's good for my hormones, supposedly. So I quite often have that as a mid-morning snack. So I had that as a mid-morning snack. There was still some white cheddar popcorn in the drawer. So I had half a serving of that, which ate up 5 net carbs. And then I started to feel a little peckish on my way to the doctor's appointment. That didn't happen. And I keep Slim Jims in my glove box. So I ate a couple of the minis, the Slim Jim minis. So I ate a couple of Slim Jim minis. And then I went grocery shopping, and it took about an hour and a half to do grocery shopping. So I added that to my Fitness Pal as exercise, because it's something I don't normally do. Well, I do it about weekly, but it's not a daily thing. So I figure I'm burning up some calories by shopping. And I'll take whatever I can get. And so I wanted to try to keep this relatively short, but I say that and then I go ramble on for another 20 minutes. But I wanted to touch base with my concept of keto and how I do keto. I have been successful. I've lost over 70 pounds in almost a year. And I think that I truly believe that there's no one way for everyone. We all have different body types. We all have different metabolism. We all have different, excuse me. Oh my goodness, I can't. Hang on. Sorry about that. Choked to death. Some people have like nut allergies, or it affects them, or dairy issues, or coconut issues, or whatever. And we all have different, some of us do total carbs, some of us do net carbs, some of us do a combination of both. And some, there's just you really have to find what works for you. Honestly, all I'm going to do in this video is talk to you about how I do keto, and I totally admire other ketoers that I follow on YouTube, and they do it differently than I do. So, as far as I'm concerned, we all have to find what works for us. And if we tell you what works for us, then it at least gives you an idea of what you can try. But you have to tweak it to make it work for yourself. Because if it's not working, or if it doesn't work, you're not going to do it. To me, this way of life has to be sustainable. So I have to keto the way that I can live with it. So I'm not militant about keto, and I'm not militant about my weight loss, and I'm not militant about anything. That's not my personality. I'm not, this is how you do it, this is the only way to do it. That's not my personality. And when I bump up against people who are militant about how to do things, it's like a family trait, I guess, and it shows up in different aspects. If you were to tell my mother or my sister how to do something, it's like visibly you could see the jaw come out. Like, if you tell them how to do it, that's going to guarantee that's not how they want to do it. And that's fine. I mean, that's personality traits. It's the rebellion. I think somebody I followed, Healthful Pursuits, did a thing about the different personality types. And certain personality types, if they have a rebellious tendency, if you tell them how they have to do something or not to do something, you're pretty much going to guarantee the opposite result. I'm not always that way. I tend to be a rule follower. I'm a firstborn child. I tend to, I like to have structure. I like to have rules, but I'm not set in stone with rules. I think that there's always room. I don't necessarily think rules made to be broken, but rules are made for a reason, but sometimes there's reasons around the reason. Anyway, long-winded, aren't I? Sorry. So how I do keto. I do a combination, and I kind of came through this. When I first started doing keto, I of course use MyFitnessPal, and the link is down below, or my ID is down below. So if you do MyFitnessPal and you want to friend me on there, that is totally great. Then you can look at my diary. It's open. You can see what I eat when I log my food. I don't always. There's some days I don't necessarily log everything. I'm not militant about logging everything every day. I'm pretty good. Most days I will put in everything I ate. But there are days when I just don't feel like it. And I'm thinking possibly after I hit my 1 year, I may take a little break again. A few months ago, I took like a month off from using MyFitnessPal, strictly for the purpose of just learning to listen to my body a little bit more and listening to my appetite until I felt like I was ready to track again. But so I'm kind of getting to that point. I'm still tracking, but like mentally I'm kind of over it at this particular point. But for the first part, I was very strict about my macros. Once I figured out what macros were, which is a whole another thing, but there's tons of information on the internet to explain macros, so I'm not going to go into that. But I was really strict about 5% carbs, 75% fat, and 20% protein. And I really worked at trying to stay within that range. That was the goal. Did I hit it? Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. I was thrilled if I hit it perfectly. It was like, I did it. But as I went along, because MyFitnessPal doesn't track net carbs per se, it just does total carbs, and you have to, if you are like me and you track net carbs, you have to go back into the nutritional scale side and look at your total carbs and minus your fibers to figure out what your net carbs are. So after a while, probably about halfway through this journey, I decided to switch my macros up to 10% carbs and 70% fat and 20% protein. But, and here's the disclaimer, my 10% carbs is 10% total, and I still shoot for 20 grams of net carbs. That's my goal. I don't freak out if I don't hit it every day. I try. That's my goal. That's my average. That's what I'm shooting for, and is to stay within those ranges. That's how I do keto. I like food, and if you are of the mindset that you would really like to get away from food or the desire for food or thinking about food, I would strongly recommend you follow Casey on her way, the way she ketos, and she does strictly total 20 or less carbs, total. And she has gotten to the point where food is less interesting to her. I honestly, I enjoy food, and I enjoy coming up with keto recipes, and I enjoy eating food that is keto approved, and so for me that isn't a goal. I don't ever want to stop enjoying food. I just don't see that as that's if I get to a point where like I burn my tongue and I can't taste anything, I'm pissed off for the length of however long it takes for my tongue to heal. So I'm, that's me. I want to enjoy my food. I don't want to eat just to sustain life. I truly enjoy food. So I just want to learn how to eat the kind of foods that I can enjoy without guilt, without stress, without making myself feel sick. And that's basically what I've done this last year of keto is found ways to eat that makes me feel good, and I can enjoy food, and I can still share food, because for me, cooking, I come from my grandmother. Actually, my grandmother on my birth father's side and on my stepdad's side, they love to cook. I think they love to cook, because they cooked all the time, and they fed their families, and they had big families, and I inherited that. I enjoy cooking, and I enjoy feeding people. And if I can feed them healthy keto food that they enjoy, even if they're not keto, that thrills me. So I'm always working on recipes to try to, let the people who aren't necessarily eating the way I eat still enjoy the food that I do. And I always, a disclaimer, I say, this is low carb, this isn't low calorie. There is a difference. So if I take treats or something, they will be low net carb, but they will not be low calorie. It's virtually impossible to make a treat that, especially with keto being fat, having a lot of fat in it most of the time. Yeah, it's not going to be low calorie. So anyway, the way I keto is one of the things that I always shoot for every day is I drink 3 of these. This is a quart, so it's 12 cups of water a day. I shoot for at least 3 of those. Sometimes I'm 4 if I know I've eaten kind of heavy, or if I know I've eaten stuff that it wasn't exactly good for me and I want to flush it through my system quickly. I use erythritol. I use stevia. If I'm in a pinch, I'll use Splenda. I don't really like it. I do drink Diet Pepsi or Coke Zero occasionally. I've tried to get away from it, but I go in spurts where sometimes I still drink it. At first, it seemed to bother me, but now it doesn't seem to fire up an appetite with me so much. There was a stretch there where I had been really super strict keto, and when I reintroduced the pops, the sodas with the Splenda in them, my appetite kind of flared up. But as I went along, that's kind of dissipated a little bit. I originally, when I made my keto coffee, or my bulletproof coffee as I called it originally, it originally had a tablespoon of coconut oil, a tablespoon of Kerrygold butter, and 2 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream. And then after watching Brindis talk about going to see her dermatologist because she was having really bad breakouts, I decided that, and he said that coconut oil could be the culprit, and I did more research online, and I found that what I found is they said that it's specifically coconut oil. It isn't generally coconut flowers or coconut flakes or anything like that. It's specifically the coconut oil, something about being refined or something that can cause acne flare-ups in some people. Now, my sister found that her skin cleared up when she was doing keto and she was doing the coconut oil. Her skin, and she's still doing it, but her skin is better with her situation. But for me, I was breaking out, and I didn't know if it was hormones, but I knew it was getting worse. Despite, I'd hear people say, well, I'm doing keto and my skin's never been better and blah, and I'd be like so jealous because I'm like, okay, mine broke out my last period and it hasn't healed up, and I'm going on another period and I'm breaking out again and it's miserable. Well, then after Brindice said what she said and she stopped using coconut oil, I thought, I'm going to quit using coconut oil and see what happens. So I switched from bulletproof coffee to what I call just keto coffee or fat coffee, which is just 2 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream and 1 tablespoon of Kerrygold butter. So that's my coffee of choice. And I actually had some this afternoon because when I got home I was hungry because, like I said, I went shopping and I hadn't really had a lot to eat. And then we had tacos for dinner, and we had with skirt steak grilled outside. I cleared off the grill and I grilled outside. I should have videotaped it, but I just wasn't thinking ahead enough. I was just trying to get food because I was hungry. And I ate a whole avocado, and I had lettuce and tomato and onion and sour cream and cheese, cilantro. I mean, it was just a smorgasbord of flavors. And that's how I keto. I count everything, but I tend to count everything. There are times when you can't. If you didn't make it, you don't know what it is. But I want to enjoy my food, and I don't want to feel like food is taken away from me. And that's what I like about this ketogenic way of eating, is that I don't feel like food has been taken away from me. I don't feel restricted. I can eat until I am satisfied. I can overeat. I can still overeat if something tastes really good. I can eat too much of it, and that happens, but it doesn't happen as often as it used to when I was not eating the ketogenic way. I would be there were stretches prior to the ketogenic way where I would eat and eat and eat. Never felt satisfied, but felt full. Like I was in pain. I was in pain because I ate so much, but I never felt satisfied. But with the ketogenic way, because I'm eating so much fat and so much healthy proteins, healthy fats, healthy carbs even, because the carbs I'm eating generally are not crap, I'm satisfied sooner, and I'm pleasantly full. I'm not in pain or agony, and I would put myself in agony prior to the ketogenic way. I would eat until I hurt, until I hated myself. That was like our saying: we ate until we hate ourselves. And the other thing that I wanted to mention for my way of ketoing is I do not count sugar alcohols. So if it does not spike my insulin, like erythritol has sugar alcohols in it and technically has carbs, but it does not spike insulin. At least it has been proven to not spike insulin for people. And so I don't count carbs. I do not count sugar alcohols. And that will limit your carbs if you do count them, because if you decide to have a treat that has sugar alcohol in it, there's all your carbs right there. Because they can have 15, 16, 20 in one little sugar snack, sugar-free snack. Or even your, like Log Cabin, my pancake syrup has sugar alcohol in it. So I don't count sugar alcohols, and I only count net carbs. And I am of the firm belief, and this is just me, and it's worked for me. I've lost 70 pounds, and what I do works for me. If it doesn't work for you, don't do it. I'm not telling anybody else how to eat. I'm simply saying I do not count carbs in my heavy whipping cream. I do not count carbs in my eggs. To me, they're not the same kind of carbs as wheat-based carbs or flour-based carbs or pure processed sugar carbs. Those are the carbs that are hazardous and dangerous to my body. And those are the carbs that make me feel like crap. I've never eaten an egg that made me feel like crap. I've never eaten heavy whipping cream or drank it in my coffee and had it make me feel bad. So, I will count my carbs in my supplements because they're sugar. I know they're sugar. I don't know, they use it to bind the pills or whatever, So yeah, I'll count those because they're not natural. They weren't made. No, they're man-made. Let's put it that way. But so yeah, that's my thing. I don't in things like eggs or heavy whipping cream. I don't count the carbs, and the way I do keto works for me. I'm not going to say that it would work for anybody else, but it's definitely an option to try. I personally cannot be militant or strict. I have my rules. Like I said, 10% of my carbs, I shoot for 10% total of my food as carbs, but 20 grams of those are net carbs, and the rest is fiber. So I still shoot for 20 grams or less. I feel like my clothes are falling off, sorry. 20 grams or less of net carbs, but a total of 10% total carbs to include fiber. So that's me. That's me. And my fat is 70%, my protein's 20%, and sometimes it's less than 20%. And I don't think I need as much protein because, like I said, I don't work out. If I start exercising, I may need more protein. But so that's kind of a basic of how I keto, and and if it works for you or you want to try it, by all means. I'm not going to say that it works for everybody else, but I know with having lost over 70 pounds, it works for me. And I think that's the key. We do what if you're finding a way that works for you, and then you find out after the fact that something wasn't what you thought it was, but you still had success, it doesn't take away your success. You still had success. So, just because it wasn't what you thought it was doesn't mean, if you were successful at what you're doing, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if you come across something that's not working for you, that's when you definitely need to tweak things or change things or try something different and play with your macros and play with your, your food, or eliminate something that you think might be causing a problem. Some people have problems, like I said, with dairy. Some people have problems with nuts. Some people have problems with sugar, alcohol. Some people, and we all have to figure out what works for us. So again, this is how I keto. Thanks for watching day 5 of my countdown, my keto countdown. Oh, this was long-winded. I'm so sorry. But anyway, all my contact information is below. I love comments and questions. I try to respond within 24 hours. If you like my channel, please click the little red rectangle box that says subscribe, and you will be notified when I upload another video. And give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And if you didn't like it, you can give me a thumbs down too, and let me know what you didn't like about it so I can improve. I'm always open to that. So let's see what else. All my contact information, you can follow me on MyFitnessPal or Instagram. I do have an email address. If you send me an email, I usually check it about every other day, and I will respond as soon as I can. I am open to trying to help everybody and anybody that I can. Thanks for watching day 5 of my keto countdown, and keto on!